listening to the Scoop Slam Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Scoop Slam Podcast. We are back once again with another pay-per-view to break down AEW Double or Nothing. If you haven't listened to the Saturday Night's Main Event episode, we recorded this at the same time as that, so it's a little split different, no official intro, but as always, I'm Micah. You know I got Ryan with me. Here we go. That brings us to the first match of Double or Nothing, which was Mercedes Moné versus Jamie Hayter for the Owen Hart Women's Tournament Final. I really was not sure how this was going to be in ring. I think Hayter has kind of gotten her feet back up under her. I thought the match with her and Statlander was pretty solid, but she hasn't necessarily been her Jamie Hayter of 2022, 2023, like when she was really in her heyday, I would say. But I was pleasantly surprised. It had good back and forth action. Not too much was, egregious or unbelievable or fighting spirit, no sell. It was a good wrestling match bell to bell that didn't try to involve too much into it. I didn't really love the tombstone kick out, but that's a given at this point with AEW shows. They're going to do a move that I don't agree should be just an immediate, move on. But, the finish I feel like is probably one of the bigger talking points here, Ryan. Because I don't know what they were going. I think they were just going for a regular roll up, but she freaking spiked Jamie Hayter on her head.
They did. That was very dangerous. Very dangerous.
But it looked kind of cool though, because I was like, I could buy her winning that roll up.
That'll ring your bell though. If you're taking that though, how do you take that safely?
Oh, I don't think you can. It's about like Chad Gable on Raw.
Oh well. You gotta feel bad for Hayter though. Like she comes back on the pre-show, she gets stuck off TV because of the visa issues or whatever the basement wants to tell you, and then now she's losing the title opportunity to Mercedes. I don't think she'll ever get her pre-injury hype back at all. And then she changed her look up too, that everybody hates.
Yeah, I think the look is the real big key there. I don't think you find many people praising it.
Well, I don't think it's like, is it that bad? She dyed her hair and dresses like she's from the 1970s.
I just think it's...
No, hold up now. When Toni Storm dyes her hair and dresses like she's in the 1920s, is cinema?
Well, maybe it's because...
She needs more sexual innuendos. Get over with the audience.
Yeah, that's it. That's what works for everybody. We'll see that later.
We saw it on pre-show too. We got the Harley Cameron, Anna Jay. Did you see that spot where Harley Cameron shoved Penelope Ford into Anna Jay's backside? Did you see that?
I did. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that got over with the audience too.
Oh, of course.
They don't objectify.
Why would it not, Ryan?
They don't objectify their women over here, Mike.
Even though they're top, main event act, just make sexual innuendos all the time. But we treat women's wrestling like a sport over here.
Kiss their opponents after the match. Don't you do that to your opponent, Micah, after hard fought victory? Give him a little peck, a little French kiss.
Oh yeah.
You do? Okay.
That's what I do after every pickup game, man.
Okay. All right.
Play to 21, and then
Good game, bro.
Anyways, man, I just think that the look is not what like when I think of Jamie Hayter, I think of like the black and blonde hair and kind of the hard hitting style, and I think her in ring work is probably just as good. I thought this was a good match. Yeah. I just the look throws me off, man. She looks like
was like that 70s chick.
Yeah, that's a good term. I don't think too. I don't know why, because this shouldn't be how this is. But I think the red hair, like something about that in women's wrestling, just instantly makes me think of Becky Lynch. Which is crazy because that can't be like trademarked exclusively to one lady. But
Yeah.
I guess like other than her in-ring work, I can't really say that Jamie Hayter has a whole lot. So her look is a big deal. And when you kind of just look like Becky Lynch, I don't know.
You like a knockoff T-Move version. Yeah, I get it. Do you think Mercedes has done harm to the division overall since she's come in, Micah? Because I think she has.
Uh,
And people
I
hated
don't.
Jade. People hated Jade because she came in and smashed everybody, but now it's okay because Mercedes does it.
I need to see if she beats Tony. I think
What?
that will be the like, man, she's ran through the entire division.
What do you gain though? Like, what does both ladies gain from beating each other?
Well,
Like, what? What does it do though? Does it elevate Mercedes? How can she be elevated anymore? She beat the whole division. Does it elevate Tony? She's running out of opponents, bro. They bring in ladies just to feed to her. So who does this help exactly?
yeah, that's a good point. Because like coming out of this too, what do you do with either of them?
You remember when we thought Athena was gonna be that person to finally take down Mercedes, and they were gonna build up to a big match, rubber match that all in. Did you see she tweeted a picture of her sitting at the house watching the show?
Oh man, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like a caption, "Root for the ladies" or something like that.
Which is crazy because her and Mercedes had a good match on Dynamite. Like I actually enjoyed it. Which
There's gotta be a story there. Like what happened?
when she came in, it wasn't exactly the most impressive thing I've ever seen when she was on like her initial AEW run. But then she went to Ring of Honor and you hear people praising her all the time. So I was like, you know what? I'll give her a chance. And she came up and had a really good match with Mercedes.
Yeah,
And then it's like, okay, back to the developmental for you.
yeah,
What?
that was it. Yeah, I don't
But
understand.
I guess we'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll be a good match between Tony and Mercedes, but I feel like Mercedes is gonna win. And then what do you do with Tony? Is she gonna go crazy and is she gonna
Yeah,
lose her gimmick again?
she'll say more sexual innuendos.
I need more records.
Okay.
What does that mean, Kobe Bryant? Well, moving on, we got Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness versus FTR.
Yeah, it was a good match. Long, but it was a good match.
Yeah, it hung on just a little too long, which is the trend of the night. I typed before this, I bet that Nigel McGuinness comes off better than Daniel Garcia.
Oh, of
And
course.
boy, was I right.
Yeah.
He stinks, man. He didn't really get a big reaction. Does anybody care about him?
Well,
Does
when he did his
anybody remember he's a TNT champion?
wait, is he? No, he lost the cold, didn't he?
Or that's what I'm saying, but he's a former TNT
Oh yeah,
champion.
yeah. They made noise when he did his little dancey dance. You see that?
But isn't the dude? Oh my god!
It's the swerve treatment, bro. Like they don't react to him until Nana starts dancing. They don't react to Daniel Garcia until he starts doing a little dancey dance.
I would say Swerve gets more of, or is able to get more of a reaction than Daniel Garcia.
Well, that's not a high bar to jump over. That bar is underground, 6 feet under. Anybody can jump over that.
I don't. First off, I would like to know how much money he stole from Tony Khan. Secondly,
it's gotta be millions.
secondly, I want to know how long do we have to keep pushing this guy until they say, maybe he's not who we thought he was? Because
They
it's
did
been
that.
how many years now?
It's been since almost the inception of AEW. But like I was gonna say, they did that with Guevara. They gave up on him. He doesn't even speak on the shows now. He's
Yeah,
Dustin's little buddy that wears a suit.
stands there and smiles.
Yeah, yeah. Just stand there in the background.
I don't know. I don't get it because I've seen it from the jump, and they had a chance. They really had a chance when he beat Daniel Bryan, and I felt like he was getting a good reaction coming out of the Jericho stuff, and everybody wanted to see him go with the Death Riders, and then they kept him in the Jericho stuff, and right there, that sealed his fate. He has never recovered from that.
But you got to look the part, Mike. You got to look the part, bro. I think he would got exposed eventually.
Oh, 100%. But I'm saying, like, I remember that live, because I was pretty logged into AEW at the time, and I was like,
yeah,
what are we doing here? And then it just never got to a point.
Story AEW.
Back to the match, FTR, I think they're doing good work. I do like that they hate on Tony Schiavone, so that makes them over in my house. This just went on longer than it was supposed to me, which I think is hilarious because, people get pissed about the Pat McAfee Gunther match and how long it went. They both went too long, but I very much enjoyed the Pat McAfee Gunther match more than I enjoyed this. But I didn't hear anybody complaining that Nigel McGuinness was in the ring and he's a commentator.
And I think McGuinness looked pretty bad in this match, bro. I think Pat actually looked better in his match than McGuinness did in this match. Because McGuinness had some timing issues in this match. I don't know if you caught any of it. Like, he was in the way when FTR was trying to do that double clothesline spot and he didn't move. So I think it was Dax had to push Nigel out the way himself, which looked goofy, and then he closed on his own partner. And then Nigel at the end got up when Garcia was in the sharpshooter, which I think he got up a little early because then he just kind of had to stall right there standing at Garcia. I don't know if you remember any of these spots, but it was just like a lot of timing issues in the match as far as McGuinness was a step behind in a lot of this.
It's kind of coming back to me, but I don't feel like I remember anything egregious, but it may just I really wasn't like locked into this match.
Yeah,
I mean, I watched it, but
I
just kind of knew what it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Also, why does no one ever tap out anymore? Why do people just put me in the sharpshooter, I'm going to pass out.
Yeah, it's fighting spirit, Micah. I don't know. WWE does that with a lot of baby faces too. Like, no baby face ever taps out. The John Cena treatment. Like, I don't think John Cena's ever tapped out as a baby face. And I don't know. Maybe it's just the thing that people grew up watching, and they think that it's normal that no baby face ever taps out.
I mean, I get it to a point. You don't want to make the babyface look weak, but like,
I mean, if you
I
got a
don't know,
UFC
man.
Micah, if you're watching a UFC contest between a guy that is a baby face to the audience, lack of a better term, and another competitor that's a heel to the audience, and the heel has the baby face and a ankle choke. I mean, are you gonna bat an eye if the baby face taps out?
Nah, I mean, and that's my point. For the Cenas, for the Austins, sure. For Danny Garcia, like, bro, just tap. I promise it's not gonna hurt you that much.
Why didn't Nigel drop this fall, bro? He'd commentate.
Yeah, that too.
They protecting Nigel.
God. Bury the guy that was
already buried.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't bury a dead body twice. Following that,
great.
What'd you say?
I said, go ahead, piss on his grave.
Following that, we had Ricochet and Mark Briscoe in the ambulance match. I'm scared we're gonna have
it was a stretcher match, pal. Stretcher match, pal. Get it right.
Not an ambulance match? Is that not the same thing?
It's not the same. No, it's not the same thing. It was a stretcher match. I'll have you know.
What's the difference?
Well, I know the WWE rules is you have to put your opponent on the stretcher and throw them across the finish line. But an ambulance match, you throw them in the ambulance. You ain't got to put them on a stretcher. And you close the doors. But here in
Okay, well.
AEW, you had to put him on a stretcher and close the door.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, well, aren't they kind of?
It's like a hybrid match. I don't know.
Well, a stretcher match between Rick O'Shea and Mark Briscoe. I think we're gonna have two different opinions here. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Shout out Rick O'Shea for the Itachi fit that he had on. I don't know if you recognize that, but it's a
No.
character from Naruto, and I thought it looked pretty cool. So I will at least give him props for that.
All right.
I gotta admit, I don't know, because you know how I am about comedy and wrestling. Maybe it's because of who was doing it. I did kind of laugh at the spray bottle shining his bald head. But I think because it's Mark Briscoe, I can buy it. You know what I mean? Like, that seems like something outlandish he would do.
But just, bro, it's one thing if you are doing the comedy stuff, but don't mix in the gruesome scissor spot in a comedy match. Like, that's, come on. I was having fun and just brought out some scissors and I'm out of it.
I felt like at that point, whenever Mark started bleeding like a stuck hog, I kind of said to myself, I was like, yeah, I think this is where Ryan's going to check out of it.
Well, I mean, I like Briscoe in this match, but I just don't like the insertion of scissors when it's not needed. That just kind of ruins the immersion of the match. When you just have some scissors and like, bro, if somebody brought some scissors in a match, why would the first place you try to stab them be in the head?
Well, I mean, you're just trying to inflict punishment. You're not trying to kill them.
Okay, trying to inflict punishment, huh?
Like, the screwdriver spot I hate because...
Yeah, how's that any different?
Because with the screwdriver, they, like, cock it all the way back, and they, like, stab in their head. Whereas with the scissors, like, they usually get close and just kind of jab it.
Okay, all right.
I don't know why, but it doesn't bother me with Ricochet doing it. I actually kind of... I enjoyed this match. This is one of my favorite matches on the show. And I kind of find myself liking Ricochet. I do think he's doing some of the best work of his career.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
I knew you were not gonna like this match.
Bro, it's just the scissors part, man. That was unnecessary. We didn't need it. If it was just straight comedy, okay. Bring out the scissors. You lost me.
I don't know. The thing is, I guess maybe I've gotten to a point with the AEW shows that I just know.
You know it's gonna devolve into absolute garbage wrestling.
Well, not even so much that. I know what I'm getting myself into. It's kind of like when I was talking about the Monet Hater match with the Tombstone kick out. I was like, well, it is AEW. Like, wow, I should expect it at this point. And I get blue at the face complaining about some of this stuff. So, like, the scissors came out, and I was like, we got the Anarchy in the arena later. That's going to be much worse. I can buy the scissors for now. And so maybe for that reason, I was like, I actually like this match.
Do you have a problem with them having a stretcher match out of nowhere?
Well, if I'm being completely honest here, I have not been locked into the Ricochet Mark Briscoe feud.
Yeah, there really hasn't been a feud. Mark came out to save Zach Gowen the other week, and then we got the announcement of there's gonna be a stretcher match next Sunday on. I don't know what was the name of this pay-per-view. Double or Nothing. And supposedly it's because a young Tony Khan was in the building for the famous quote unquote Sabu versus RVD stretcher match in ECW. So this was a homage to that match. But I don't think they used scissors in that match.
Yeah. I thought maybe I had missed something and like the build up to this, but because I watched the Zach Gowen match, we just
there was more build up to the Zach Gowen Ricochet match than there was Mark Briscoe Ricochet match.
Oh, okay.
That probably would have made more sense actually to have Zach Gowen in this match.
I don't know. I didn't hate it. I thought the Sabu dive that Mark did, where then Ricochet countered it by throwing the chair. I thought that was a nice spot. Um, I am also glad Mark Briscoe's getting a chance to be on pay-per-view, which is pretty rare for him since AEW, I guess,
Lost.
hates him.
He lost, dude.
Yeah, well, of course they're not gonna put him over.
Ricochet's first pay-per-view win, Micah. He was 0-7 on pay-per-view going into this.
He's been there that long?
He's been on that many pay-per-views, yeah.
Next up, we had for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, we had the Hurt Syndicate versus, what'd you call it earlier? Dustin and his little buddy?
Yeah, little buddy.
This was just kind of here. I enjoy the Hurt Syndicate stuff, but much of their story has been being told with MJF, not Dustin and Sammy. And, this went a little longer than I think most of the Hurt Syndicate matches, but we all knew they were going to win. And they're still telling the story with MJF. It just kind of feels like with a background of rotating characters. So, I don't know, Ryan. What'd you think about it?
I thought MJF looked. I thought he looked. You fit in with the Hurt Syndicate. Thought it looked, pretty cool coming out with them.
Yeah.
It was a TV match. It's very hard to book challengers for the Hurt Syndicate because there's no credible tag teams in that division. I'm still so shocked that Bobby Lashley isn't in the main event scene, bro. Like, why is he still wasting around the tag division?
I think they're trying to maybe legitimize the tag division by adding the Hurt Syndicate, and they're trying to. I feel like they're trying to heat FTR back up.
It's doing the complete opposite of that, Micah. Like, they've been steamrolling the whole division. They got no tag teams over because how can you? Look at Bobby and Shelton, and look at Action Andretti and Leo Rush.
Dude, shoot, you could have just said anybody else, and I would have bought that too.
But still, though, it just feels like Bobby Lashley is on a different show at times than everybody.
Oh yeah, there's definitely the Hurt Syndicate vortex, which is like it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy their stuff, but that I think is one of my biggest problems with AEW. There's a lot, especially like the Death Riders too. It just feels like the show isn't interconnected. You'll have, which we haven't had the Jericho vortex in a while, but like Ospreay for months, just would never say anything about the Death Riders. It's like, hey, these guys are terrorizing the company. Why is nobody talking about this? But if it didn't involve the Don Callis family, then he didn't care.
Yeah, bro. It feels like it's a waste of Bobby, especially when he still looks like $1 million. And he's almost 50 years old, bro. So what are we waiting? Let him interact with Kenny. Let him interact with Mr. B-Man Okada. Let him interact with Speedball Mike Bailey. Let him interact with the Jacksons. Let him squash the Jacksons, actually, 2-on-1.
Yeah.
But still though, let him be in the main event scene, interacting with other main eventers. Why are we still getting segments with Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes? Clearly out of their element and out of their league, interacting with the Hurt business.
I mean, you haven't said anything that I disagree with. I still think the 2-man power trip gimmick would have been great, but they weren't going to do that.
Do you think we're still leading up to an MJF Bobby Lashley match at All In, or do you think that's too soon?
I think it's too soon. I think they're going to let this ride for a little bit. But my thing is,
just wasting MJF.
Well, if he goes back in the main event scene and has a decent feud with, if Hangman does walk out of All In champion, then I could see that being acceptable to me as he's the leader of the Hurt Syndicate, but then, well, not the leader, but he's like the main eventer, I guess, of the Hurt Syndicate. But then Bobby's like, I can do what you do better. And then I could see MJF eventually being the one to team up with. I really don't know who you could put him with to beat the Hurt Syndicate, but I feel like he's going to be the one to take the titles off of them. I just don't know how far down the road that is.
I don't see anybody down the pipeline. I think it would be too soon to do that MJF Bobby match. But it's interesting, bro. Because how are they going to keep the Hurt Syndicate interesting if they're not going to be feuding with interesting guys?
Yeah, I don't know. That's I don't know, but I'm still
What
more
tag team do we
intrigued
have
by
left?
them than most people, I would say.
But who do we have left? You want to see
I
them
don't know.
against Roppongi Vice or the Dark Order?
FTR, the Young Bucks, and I really don't even want to see them face the Young Bucks. And the FTR run would be kind of weird because they're both heels, technically.
Yeah, I would rather Shelton just squash both Young Bucks.
Handicap
That'd be
match.
an even match.
Man,
Yeah,
let Bobby don't even tag in.
That would be a pretty even matchup, actually.
I think in a shoot, Shelton could take both of them.
Oh, he tied them both up, bro. Oh, Benjamin Shelton. That's Hulk Hogan's
Benjamin
favorite
Shelton.
wrestler.
But yeah, not a bad match. Just kind of here.
There now.
For the Continental Championship, we had your favorite Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna say it right now. That was one of the best drop kicks that I've ever seen. Like the precision and timing on that, I'll give Okada credit for that because that shooting star press into a drop kick was a thing of beauty.
The finish was really good.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best of the night, honestly.
Well, would it have been that bad if he was just covered him after that drop kick? Because I think that could have believably got the pinfall, but they kind of just he picked him up and then hit that terrible looking lariat he does.
Well, I can somewhat reason with it because
Why?
you're just making sure the guy's finished.
It looked devastating though. Okay, come on now. It looked devastating though. Why can't you just end a match on something that looks devastating? Why is that such a taboo concept in wrestling?
I agree with you typically, like the Ospreays of the world, like, they got to get their stuff in. But this didn't exactly give me that same feeling, I guess, just because it was a really good looking drop kick, but it wasn't like, oh, he caught him with, maybe if he had lariat, like hit him with the lariat, I don't know.
He still would have picked him up and hit another lariat.
You're probably not wrong. I don't know. It didn't bother me. I thought, he's making sure he's dead, but just stop. He's dead.
Take his corpse up. Hit him with one more lariat.
But outside of that, I don't really think I liked anything else about this match on Okada's side.
Wait, no, I thought you were gonna praise this match, bro.
Oh, really? Did you enjoy this match?
I thought this was Okada's best match, but if we're really looking at it, I think Speedball just kind of had all the highlights of this match. He made this match go.
Yeah, this was a good match for Speedball. Like
Speedball
that's what I was.
Himself here. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I texted you. I was like, there's something interesting about him, and I can't exactly put my finger on it. But it's just a different, like, unorthodox style to the point that I kind of can't look away from it. Not like in a bad way. It's not like a car wreck, but it's like it's just not in a day and age where most wrestlers wrestle the same, and I think you said it the other day, and it's really changed my perspective on things, which is being good in the ring is a precursor now. Like, you have to have that to be able to get your foot in the door in today's wrestling. Yeah. So that being your caveat as to like, oh, this is why Finn Balor's so great. What can Finn Balor do that most people can't? There's not really a whole lot. But Speedball has a very interesting style that I don't think most people have. But then he's wrestling Okada, who he has no presence. He has no look. He was graying. He has no tone. He's just out there.
Yeah, just floats around out there, and he has those comedy segments backstage that everybody praises, where he says one word,
See, and
and they
that
laugh
too.
They laugh at it because he says it in a Japanese accent.
Oh yeah, because it's hilarious. Make fun of broken English. That's not racist at all, guys. The hoops that they jump through to get on WWE about some things, but then they don't care when it's the same way.
No, we're the good guys over here. We're the good guys. You don't like Stephanie Vecure because she can't speak English. You pedophile. You don't appreciate real grats.
Well, it's the same way. Like something about Okada gives me the same feeling that I used to get whenever I would watch Asuka on WWE, where it was almost like they gave her stuff, to parody what Americans think Japanese people are.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah,
and it's like,
bro.
Yes, and then Okada comes over and does the same thing. Like they like his comedy just because it's in broken English. Like, why is that funny? Is that not wrong? Are we not subjecting somebody to like basically be made fun of?
It's his ideas, Mike. You don't understand. It's his, so if it's his ideas, that means we can laugh at it.
I'm not trying to be like the comedy like warden or anything, but like I don't know, man. It's not even that funny.
He's actually the best wrestler alive, Micah, and he's actually the best comedian wrestler of all time as well. Do you remember when he carried around a balloon after he lost the New Japan World Championship and he was depressed? You didn't think that was hilarious when he carried around a balloon?
Is that real?
Yeah, that's a shoot, pal. Yeah. After he lost the title, he carried around a balloon for like 6 months. Yeah, that's hilarious, though.
I find more and more reasons to just not care for him every day.
Well,
I don't know, man. People, Okada's the greatest wrestler. Like, he's so good. That match with him and Kenny's going to be good. Is it? I'm still not bought in, man. I still don't think it's going to be good.
Kenny's going to have to do the speedball here and just have a great match with himself. Because Okada in 2025, he ain't got it on. And I wanted to ask you this, Mike, because I think we talked about this over text, but I wanted to ask you in person or over the phone. Do you think Speedball has a little Matt Riddle in him? The style, you can't put your finger on it, but you just like him.
I think it was the opposite for me with Riddle. I could put my finger like it.
So why do you detest Riddle so much, but you enjoy Speedball, which is, half the size of Riddle, and at least Riddle stuff looks a little bit more convincing in there. He's actually a shoot fighter. Riddle was in UFC.
Okay, I can get with you that Matt Riddle had a better look than Speedball in terms of like, he was cut. He kind of looked like a jiu-jitsu guy. But, Speedball doesn't have bro on the back of his shorts, and it wasn't Riddle's in-ring that I hated. Well, it was the out-of-ring persona of like a trashy RVD. I don't know. I just didn't.
Have you ever heard Speedball cut a promo?
I can't say that I've sat down and I remember anything
on the roster, bro. Like, I don't know if you remember that promo exchange he had with Omega, where he stood in the ring and held up his leg in like a weird posture and just talked like an anime villain. I don't know if you remember that, but that was one of the worst promos that I've seen all year. And they haven't let him talk in ring since then.
Well, I wonder why.
Well, there you go.
I can't speak to his promo ability, but as far as it, but see, okay. At the same time, with that statement about you basically have to be a good wrestler nowadays, does him not being good on promos really put him that far back in AEW? Because I don't feel like they have that many just stellar promo guys, if we're being honest here.
I don't know. When you make Omega look like he's Steve Austin in there in the promo exchange, that's where I was out on old Speedball.
Oh, Omega's fixing to have to look like Shawn Michaels if he's wrestling Okada.
Well,
I think Omega's going to have to carry that match, but
of course.
we'll see. Following that, we had Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, and I hate to break the true fans out there's hearts, but there was a lot of wrestling this weekend, and I just I
You
had
didn't
to
catch the
cut.
HL.
I had to cut in a little bit, man.
You didn't like the HLA at the end, Mike.
What does HLA stand for, Ryan?
Uh,
Don't elaborate. I know. What's that line from Family Guy? The kids don't know what's going on right now, but the adults do.
it's, just, it's crazy, bro. Because the basement, they get mad at the Fed for objectifying Vecure by having Booker T make those sound effects on her move, but then they're okay with two ladies, making out at the end of the match there.
Yeah, it's not for me, man. And I knew that was gonna happen because that's Mina Shirakawa's gimmick.
What? Is that her gimmick, really?
Every time she's in AEW, that's all she's done. She's,
The only reaction.
She's
That's the only
shaking her upper frontal
Yeah.
gimmicks, and
Okay.
she kissed Mariah May, and she kissed Tony Storm, and other than that, what do you remember about her run?
That's the only reaction she can get. So, I don't know, man. Maybe we're building up to a bra and panties match soon.
Oh God,
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I'm sure the AEW basement will try to justify by saying, "Well, it's their decision, so it's not objectifying the women."
it's their fighting spirit, Ryan.
Were you surprised we didn't see Mariah May at the end of the match?
Kinda. But I've heard she's in contract negotiations, but at the same time, I really don't care to see her and Tony anymore because that drug on long enough, if we're being honest.
We haven't seen her at all since the Hollywood ending. I think that might be it for her. Time travel.
This went from an early morning scoop to an early morning scoop, and it is now 3 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. But we got to talk about Anarchy in the Arena and the Will Ospreay Hangman match. So if we sound a little deflated, it's not from the wrestling. It's just because it's late.
Do you think we need to blast drowning pools to perk us up this morning, Micah?
I might need some kratom to get to the show.
Okay, all right.
But the last match that we talked about was the Tony Storm versus Mina Shirakawa match, or lack thereof, because neither of us saw it. So that brings us to Anarchy in the Arena.
I saw the finish.
Oh, well. You saw more than I did. I think there was some finishing involved. Maybe not from the two ladies in the ring, but...
There was a happy ending somewhere in there, I'm sure.
Some HLA. I think that's what the last thing you said before we got off earlier. But Anarchy in the Arena, Swerve came out to what I thought was a really cool Predator themed entrance.
Pause. Hold up. How are we supposed to take this guy serious, man? If Nana's still doing the dance in the back.
Man, you hate Swerve.
I just don't. It's just there's a disconnect here, bro. You're supposed to be this bad, and then you just got this little jabroni dancing behind you. Does it always have to involve comedy to make it? Does he need Nana anymore?
I don't think he needs Nana, but I don't know, man. He's just
doing a dance for him. Humiliation ritual, but not. I think it's been long enough.
And chill his coffee.
And he don't even do that no more.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of tune out Nana, not in a bad way, but I kind of forget he's a part of the act with Swerve. I just like Swerve. So then, but I don't know, man. You turn me somewhat against him because you just have such a disdain for Swerve, and then you point out things, and I'm like, well, I can't really refute your claim.
Am I lying?
Another thing I did not know going into this, maybe just because I usually I catch Dynamite on tape delay. So I did not know that there were going to be women involved in the match as like participants. So I was very curious to see how they accomplished that.
Yeah, it got announced pretty late. I think last Wednesday it officially got announced. But yeah, they were involved too. They were there.
So yeah, we'll get there as well.
Will we?
Speaking of finishes, how about the Young Bucks basically just giving themselves fellatio live on pay-per-view?
Yeah. Why were they dressed as extras from Hamilton? What's going on there?
Well, they're the founding fathers, Ryan. You didn't hear that long drawn out thing that they made Justin Roberts read so they can, make sure everybody knows to appreciate them, that they're the most influential tag team in the business.
They didn't call them the Young Bucks one time. They just called them the Founding Fathers the whole match. Or is that the new tag team name? I mean, I know they're not young anymore. It's gonna be
I
known as the
prefer
Founding
Generation Me.
Fathers. Did you?
Actually did kind of like them in TNA.
Yeah. I did too. I don't remember them doing much in TNA.
Yeah, them and their buddy Okada. I don't know, man. I think
Yeah,
that like
interesting.
people are. Well, not only that, I think that people will spin this that like, oh, it's just their gimmick. But anything about the Young Bucks that I've ever heard leads me to believe that this is really how they feel about themselves.
Yeah. Oh, they're supposed to be annoying. No, I mean, bro, I just don't want to see them anymore. Like the people
Yeah,
that think that Logan Paul gets go away heat. No, the Young
this is
Bucks
go
get
away
that.
heat.
This is the go away heat. They're not good.
But moving to the actual match part of it, I'm very interested to see what you have to say here. The best way that I can describe this is an anxiety attack visualized.
Yeah.
Um, I was live there in living color for Double or Nothing 2022 when they did the first thing where they played Wild Thing like 3 times. I cannot explain the feeling that it gave me. There was so much happening, and this is the same way. I hate when they had the 4 camera shot because it's like I don't know where to put my eyes. You know what I mean?
I think they had an extra one in this one and a fifth camera shot.
Yeah, they probably did. So like at that point, plus the music,
Which one? Because they played the Revolutionary War music for a good portion of the match.
well, that was goofy, and I didn't care for that. Then they
All of
moved to the Pointer Sisters song, which popped me just because, that was the Dynamite theme song, and then they
they
pivoted
changed it
because
after 1 week.
yeah, because it made no sense as a wrestling show theme. And then obviously they get to Bodies by Drowning Pool, and
Uh,
I popped for it the first time.
yeah.
I did like it, but
Okay.
then just like anything in AEW, it has to hang on too long. And after a while, I was like, man, I'm getting really sick of this song. And we are 10 minutes into the match, and they are already doing everything.
It looped, I think, 6 times.
I mean, I believe that as long as it felt like it went on.
Yeah. Oh man, the match went on forever. I was watching, I think the Thunder game, and it legitimately went on from the third quarter with 8 minutes left to the end of the game. That was the whole match went on pretty much the whole second half of that game.
That is insane.
Yeah, it felt like it too.
To run down some spots and just kind of get your opinion on them, Ryan. We obviously have the contrivedness of these matches, diving onto the groups. Staples.
Yeah.
Did you like that addition here, Ryan? Swerve got one in his tongue. Hobbs no sold him.
Yeah, your man Swerve has a fetish for getting things shoved inside him. So, I was expecting it, and he made sure that everybody saw it when he stuck his tongue out a bunch of times, making sure everybody's seen it. I think he took a picture backstage too of his tongue out. That's your guy. That's
Come
your
on,
guy.
man.
No, that's him. That's such a cool aura coming out as the Predator. Meanwhile, his manager is just dancing behind him, makes him look so bad. That's your guy.
You didn't
Your
like
guy.
the Predator entrance, or did you
No, I
just
did
not
not.
like Nana?
I don't like him. I don't like his matches.
What? Okay, is it just the matches, or is it just the whole presentation, the way he thinks of himself?
The whole thing, yeah. The whole package. His presentation, his style in the ring, the way he presents himself outside the ring. I don't like Swerve at all. Not a big Swerve guy. And the staple thing, I expected something to get shoved inside him, and that was the staples. I'm sure next match he'll bring out I don't know, another hyperbolic needle to shove inside of him. He loves those too, so we'll see.
Well, did you like the forklift dive that he did as well?
Well, I appreciate them getting somebody that's forklift certified to control that.
Who was on it? I don't even remember.
I'm sure he has a contract by now.
He'll probably be in the ring next week facing Ricochet.
He would, you know what? I'd probably cheer for him over Ricochet.
Uh, I don't know. A couple final notes, I guess.
Did you like the lock spot with Willow getting locked in the ring post with her ear piercing?
Well, I didn't hate it. Just because it has been done before with like Jeff Hardy, which Jeff said that was actually a pretty rough spot to do because there's no good way to pull. So I thought it was a little different. It wasn't like they were leaving Willow in like a bloody mess. So I thought it was a different way to confine her.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you saw this, but do you remember when I believe it was Hobbs either speared or like threw Claudio into some cases, basically, like the travel cases. And they were
yeah. Go ahead.
They were painted to look like real travel cases, and then when they broke, you could see that they were either cardboard or like cheap wood.
I think I remember that. Yeah, vaguely.
So I was like, all right, come on now. Because we've seen people in wrestling get thrown into those travel cases. They have wheels on them, so they move, but they don't like buckle when you fall into. Claudio fell into them, and they just like sheared. They just ripped in half as he fell into them. And I'm like, man, could you not have just put some cases there?
Yeah, I mean, what was the, they gotta, they've been doing that a lot lately too, man. There was another spot where Omega did the one-winged angel off the stage into an exploding table.
Yeah, randomly. Like, where was that the whole match? I don't ever remember them like bringing that up.
No. How did it explode exactly? Was it near the pyrotechnics? Did Omega set it up in a different camera angle? Did we miss it?
I have no idea. I mean, I saw when they went through it, there was like wires and a bunch of stuff on the bottom. But like, other than that, I don't know if like Kenny planted it or, they just keep one on standby backstage in case anybody's feeling frisky. I really don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot that went on in this match, bro.
It's hard to break down these matches because there is so much that happens that I feel like eventually my note taking gets so expansive, I guess, or just like ridiculous, which almost kind of sums up the match. And
Did
I
you
know what
see?
to expect from these matches, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, why did they do this? Why did they do that? It's AEW and it's Anarchy in the Arena. They go balls to the wall every year with these. But my main issue is, and I think I said this off air before we recorded this morning, was if this was an isolated event, sure. But they have blood and guts. They usually have some kind of Texas death match, if not multiple, throughout the year. They had a stretcher match before this match on the same card, and it's like, man, can we ever get a break?
No, this is the pay-per-view format, bro. You know what you're gonna get with the pay-per-views. Usually get one of these type of matches.
And I know some people like it. I don't know, man. Maybe it's not for me. I'm fine with a grudge match that takes place inside a cage, or even a Texas death match if it's built up properly. But every time around this time of the year, they find 10 guys and see how they can fit them in this match. And they're going to do the same thing with blood and guts. And it's just very predictable. And the problem that they're running into is how much further can the ante be upped? Because Swerve got, sprayed blood in his mouth, and then he got a needle going through his cheek, and now he got staples on his tongue. So, like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you, man. It's they always got to try to top themselves, man. Somebody's gonna end up paralyzed. I mean, that's what's gonna happen here, because they got to top themselves every single pay-per-view. You know, compared to
they're topping themselves, all right.
Oh, come on now. Did you see Hook come back? Hook came back.
Yeah, I almost missed him, man. At least he did a little different than the Bloodline return. You know, he had a colored jacket.
Well, that's his gimmick, though. He always wears a hoodie, right? He always looks like a school shooter. Can we say that?
Him and Darby need to team up, man.
Oh man,
be the two most lethal white kids on the roster.
Whoa, don't come to work this Wednesday. Yeah, it was long, bro. It was a very long match.
I will say one positive. At least they finally did hit the women. And I don't mean that in the way that it's going to come off.
Let's hit the women.
But as I know we've gotten, it's a bad look because domestic violence is a real thing. But, like, it just aggravates me whenever the women get to, like, kick the guys in the balls, and then the guys, like, pull their punches at the women. I'm like, man, nah, she deserves it at some point. So it was good to see them actually do something to the women in this match, rather than just them kind of they're like in this invisible barrier.
I know, bro. Like, at one point, Willow went on like a spear fest, like she was Braun Breaker, and I was like, come on, like, what are we doing here? I can buy she spears the Bucks, but when she's hitting Claudio with a spear and Moxley with a spear, that's when, okay, come on now.
Well, at least she's not Riho size. At least she's not Shafir's size. Like, Willow is kind of big.
But they treated her like she was Rhino in the match. She ain't that big.
I don't know. Surprisingly, because I was wondering how it was going to go, I did not hate the involvement of the women in this match. And I thought that they did good things within the match.
Yeah, but you got to be held at gunpoint to hit the women. Like, you remember Marina was cussing out, I think it was Omega, and spit in his face, and finally Omega hit her. Why did it take that much for him to hit her? Like, she was in the match, bro. Wheel back a chair. I'm just saying, man. I mean, come on now. You knew what this was. Yeah,
I mean, she signed up for it, so.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we get after Hook returned very anticlimactically, he moops back to, or mopes, whatever. He goes back to the backstage area for whatever reason. I'm sure we'll find out on Dynamite. For then Gabe Kidd to come in and or skinhead David Flair, as I like to
Oh,
call
come
him.
on now. No, he's Lars Sullivan. Shrunken
Well,
Lars Sullivan.
both can apply. I mean, he fits right in with the Death Riders though, because I mean, boy, they could be cousins. But like, so after Hook did all that, we then get Gabe Kidd to come out. Like, what if the Death Riders had won then? And now what does Hook? What was Hook's involvement for? You know what I mean? Isn't that kind of ridiculous?
I was hoping they would win just to see the justification of the fan base, because I'm sure we got seen as a good thing.
Well, it's because Hangman's going to take the belt off of him at All In, Ryan.
At All In next year, Micah.
The never-ending Moxley reign. It's kind of felt like that. Like, since 2023, the never-ending Moxley reign.
He's had the title so many times.
Exactly. And how, the world may never know. That's really all I've got to say about Anarchy in the Arena. I know there's a subsection of the fan base that enjoys these matches, and for them, I mean this sincerely. If you like it, cool.
Good for you. Yeah. It got praised online, bro.
Yeah, and they always do. It's just not for me. It's not necessarily the style of wrestling I like. And I don't mind hardcore or blood. Like, Punk and Drew had an excellent Hell in a Cell match that had all of these sort of elements. But the stuff that they did made sense, and it fit within the bounds of the match. But it also kills me when they do, hey, I'm going to slam this guy through an exploding table, or, just run him over. I'm going to stab him in the face with a fork. Then I'm going to drag him in the ring and do this wrestling move, and that'll beat him. Like at some point.
Let me drive this forklift into the arena while my opponents are sitting there waving their arms for 5 seconds while I set up for my cool little dive. Yeah.
Yeah. It just takes me out of it. Within 10 minutes, I'm just kind of,
Yeah, I get you. We still got no reasoning why the Bucks are aligned with the Death Riders. Like, they say they did it for Hangman that 1 week, and then we're just supposed to go with it.
Honestly, and I mean this in the best way possible, I do watch these shows, but like for their segments in the Death Riders, I tune out so bad. I had no idea why they were aligned, and I didn't really care to find out.
You don't want to read up or anything. You can't, because it's not out there. But yeah, we still don't know why. They're just there. They're little buddies with the Death Riders now.
Just put all the real stinkers in one group, huh?
Get them out the way. Man, I just wish the Hurt would just go through these guys.
Oh my God. Anarchy in the Arena. Hurt Business versus Death Riders and Young Bucks. Let it be a handicap match and just let Bobby kill them in like 10 minutes.
Well,
let Benjamin Shelton and John Moxley have a shoot fight in the middle of the ring and see who wins.
Oh my God. You can fold them up. Man, I think MVP could probably take both the Young Bucks by himself.
Oh God. With one arm behind his back.
Let's do it, man. 4-on-5. Hurt Business versus Death Riders and Young Bucks for blood and guts. Let's book that.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'm in. Winner take all. All championships involved.
Well,
loser leaves town.
Okay, all right. I'm rocking with this. The ball is rolling. We're picking up steam. After this, there was a 6-man tag that I really didn't even know was on the card, and
yeah, I didn't. It was like 11 o'clock, and I did not know that. Oh, my alarm going off. You're CM Punk's theme in the background.
Fire Burns or Cult of Personality? I couldn't hear it.
No, it's Fire Burns.
Okay.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
The random 6-man tag, the all-star tag they had here. Man, there's a lot of wrestling, and I'm just applying that rule for this as well. I could not care less about the people involved outside of Fletcher and Takeshita, because they told me not to care about Josh Alexander, and the Paragon is
The most useless name change of all time. Why did they
they
change their
are they are decomposing at this point. It's past the state of just like, oh, they're declared dead.
name? They're just
So
finagling the corpse? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I mean they're already in the urn, man.
Okay.
Like there's no, I don't know. I don't know if there's any rehabilitating them. I could see Kyle O'Reilly going somewhere, but like the other two, nah.
It was just, I mean, it's hard, but the basement justifies it by saying, oh, everybody needs a cool down match. No, bro, we don't need this match at all. It didn't need to happen. I don't care how good of a match you thought it was. It didn't need to happen. Kyle pinned Kyle in this match. So, good for Kyle. And we got the appearance of a broken down, beat up Tanahashi at the end. I'm sure you were.
Really?
Oh, yeah, Tanahashi was there. He was there, pal. I'm sure
I
you were
didn't
happy
see
to see
that.
that. Oh, okay. Probably for the best, bro. He does not look. He looks like he can hardly move at this point.
Is he still wrestling? Like I thought he was just in an administrative role now.
They got announced that this is his last year, just like Cena. This is his retirement year.
Yeah.
Now I assume he's gonna be wrestling at Forbidden Door, because they had the appearance of your favorite Ishii, Micah. He was there too.
Oh God.
Ishii was there. They had Brody King came out with Ishii for some reason. They actually had an entrance together. I don't know if it's a part of the. What do they call themselves now? That it's not House of Black anymore.
I think they're the Hounds of Hell.
Yeah, he came out with Brody King, and the graphic said Hounds of Hell. So he's honorary Hound of Hell, but yeah, he came out, and yeah, man, Don Callis family versus the Hounds of Hell, Tanahashi, and whoever else. The Paragon's probably gonna be the match for Forbidden Door, if you care about that.
Oh boy, they'll get us
Yeah.
the whole seat. Well, we're only gonna need the edge, huh? Well, that brings us to the main event. For the Owen Hart Men's Cup Final for a shot at the AEW World Championship at All In Texas, we had Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page. And I have to admit, I'm typically not a big Ospreay fan, typically not a big Hangman fan. I do, however, think this is one of the most marquee matchups that they could make. And I would much rather. Well, I mean,
they've done this match before, though. This is the third time they faced off.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, they've had two matches in the past, so this would be number 3. And the people trying to justify it online, like, oh my God, it's so much cinema. You got the cowboy facing Moxley in Texas. Like, how is he a cowboy? What are we missing here, Micah? What is he what makes him a cowboy?
Well, he has the tassel pants, Ryan.
Pink tassel pants.
Speaking of the pink attire, real quick, I'm real sick of the fact that for like 3 years now, for this Owen Hart Cup thing, every year the 2 people that win are in pink, and the 2 people that lose are not in pink. So it's next year. It's a telltale sign that because they've done this before in the qualifier matches, but this past time I remember on one of these shows I said, "Wow, I was surprised somebody won because the other person was wearing pink." So they threw me off. But no, once it gets to the freaking final, just pay attention to whoever's wearing pink, and there's your Owen Hart Cup winner. You don't even need to see the match.
It did cross my mind when I was watching it, because that has been the consensus online that the winner always going to wear pink. Ospreay didn't wear any type of pink in this match. I thought he did.
I don't. I could not tell you what the man chooses to wear, judging by anything that he comes to Dynamite in.
Well, yeah, okay, I give you that. He thinks he's afraid of the grind, Mike. You think he shot his mouth off a little too much, and Tony Khan is punishing him? Because that would be the WWE way, wouldn't it?
Well, an article came out today,
Oh, okay. What we got?
and it said that Hangman was vouching for Ospreay to win, and
Oh
Ospreay
God.
was vouching
Yeah.
for Hangman to win.
Yeah. Then they
And
gave each
our
other
good friend
handy.
of, well, you said it, not me. Our good friend of the pod, Ebu, made a post, and he basically said, this sucks. Like, why would they leak this? Because,
It's all friendship wrestling, Micah.
yeah, I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. And he was like, yes, I know it's a work, but I was actually able to buy into these guys, and that this match meant so much to them professionally. So then for AEW to be like, oh, it'll be a great story if we leak it. Let's just say that both guys are just so selfless. And I'm sure that works for a section of the audience. But like, God almighty, man, it's as bad as The Rock. I can't stand that crap.
Come on now. Don't put Rock in this.
No, look, I love The Rock, but
Rock
I hate when he goes
on
on the press conferences and he's like, "Oh, I love playing the character of the final boss."
Well, okay, but still though, I mean, Rock would want to go over in this match.
Well, you got me there.
Okay.
Since he was trying to go over on Cody.
Yeah. He did now. He pinned him.
Well, yeah. He just didn't take the title from him. We're getting there, though.
Should've.
WrestleMania 42 for sure.
43 might be where this is going.
50.
Oh, man.
Triple H likes to drag it out.
Oh, yeah.
Versus Hangman. I have to admit, I did think that they were just going to go balls to the wall immediately, but they set a good pace early. I enjoyed the beginning of this match because it wasn't flippy doodah. Here's everything that I can do in the first 10 minutes of the match because I knew this was going to go 30 plus, and that it did. However, we got to the back body drop, reversed into a flip. Hangman catches him, whips him into the ropes. Ospreay does a handspring. Page then hits him in the back of the head with a forearm, gets him in the powerbomb position, reversed into a kick by Ospreay. Then Page does a lariat. Then Ospreay gets up and hits him with a Spanish fly. And here is where I knew we're fixing to get a little wild. And I felt that was best to explain blow by blow because that right there is the thing that I just cannot get behind in the Ospreay matches.
Those are the cool down spots of the Ospreay matches right there. It's the ADHD of all the Ospreay matches, bro. He just has to get his stuff in, man.
Admittedly, to wrap this match up, which I still have a couple other points, but I still enjoyed this match. I have to think outside of the Roman Seth Punk match that this was the best main event match of 2025 of any pay-per-view.
No, come on now. What? You think this is better than Cena or Orton?
Oh my God, yes. Come on now, I hated that match.
I liked it, but I don't know if I put this over.
I think I've just gotten to the point with AEW that
you know what to expect. It's gonna be flippy doodahs and 1,000 kickouts, stuff that's not gonna make sense, and you gotta just check your suspicion of disbelief at the door because you know it's gonna be just spat on throughout the whole match. Is that what you're saying, Micah?
Yeah, somewhere in there. But like Anarchy in the Arena spits on it a little too much. Pause. That we gotta get some better phrasing here on the.
Bro, I mean, you can't say that the Ospreay matches don't either when you're doing a Styles Clash to the floor off the apron and you just get back up like it ain't nothing and continue for another 15 minutes.
Well, that was another thing that I wrote down that I hate. Because it didn't even look good. You know what I mean? Because there's no good way for him to take that as a flat back bump or I guess a belly back bump, whatever. because he has to kind of brace himself, Hangman does, and then Ospreay really fell to his knees, and it just looked clunky, and it didn't do anything. It was a transition spot for Hangman to, be completely unconscious until he hears the number 9, and then he's like, "Oh, yep, I gotta hop back in the ring." I hate that, man. I hate that from either company. Like, why do guys just are they like winter soldiers, and the word 9 just like ignites something in their body?
So yeah, it's it was something, bro. That's I think that's where I tapped out though.
That was my least favorite spot of the match, because most of the other stuff was like within Ospreay and Hangman's wheelhouse, like, the fighting spirit and the back and forth. Not my cup of tea per se, but this was not needed in the match at all, and it didn't accomplish anything because, like you said, the match continued for another 15 minutes. Ospreay got back in the ring, Hangman got back in the ring, and then what? Like, it didn't even look good.
No. Yeah.
And I don't know, I did enjoy it. One last thing that I thought was just really stupid. So towards the end, Ospreay goes to hit his hidden blade, and Hangman falls over before he can get there, and Ospreay just lands on the mat. And of all the times the dude can get hit with 3 Canadian destroyers on the apron of the ring, a satellite could crash into him at Mach speed and he would be up at the count of 5. The dude missed the hidden blade and then just laid on the mat. Like, sold the fact that he missed the hidden blade and landed on the mat from a 2-foot drop for like a good 30 seconds.
Well, he didn't have his power up charged up, Micah, so he couldn't keep up during that moment. He already used his fighting spirit earlier on in the match. Can't have 2 fighting spirits in one match.
He was out of his reversal bar.
I'm glad you enjoyed this, man. I'm glad you did. That's what it's all about.
I think that it's a weird card to judge, man. Because it's getting a...
Let me ask you something real quick. Do you think Hangman winning the match against Ospreay here, do you think this makes Darby the prime suspect to take the title off Moxley? Do you think Moxley just beats Hangman at All In?
No, I'm honestly, I don't know, call it hopium. I think Hangman wins at All In. And I think the reason being is people once again are coming around to him, and he's the main character of AEW.
No, but I think if Swerve didn't take the title off Moxley, then I don't think Hangman is gonna take the title off Moxley. Because if you were gonna have Hangman win the title, why not just have Swerve beat Moxley? That way, you could have a final blow off match of the Swerve and Hangman stuff that their fan base seems to love. Why not just have that the biggest event of the year? Wouldn't that make more sense? So the fact that they didn't do that, have Swerve take the title off Mox, it lends me to believe, Micah, that Hanger is going to take the L at All In. And the fact that Darby planted the AEW flag right there at the peak of Mount Everest sealed his fate as the next AEW champion. That's what I think is going to happen.
I could see it. And I mean, I see your point, the way you put that about why would you not run Swerve and him back. But I think that Tony saw that neither person really was getting like booed. I think they were both kind of still baby faces, and so maybe that was why they're not running that back. I kind of get a feeling we do see Darby at All In, but I think he helps Hangman defeat Moxley.
Isn't the Wrestle Dream? Isn't that in Washington? Do you think they hold off?
Oh my God! Please no.
I'm just saying, bro. I mean, it could happen.
It could. I mean, I'm not gonna rule it out, but
They are just redoing the WrestleMania 39, the WrestleMania 40 arc, Cody.
I hope not. It is. Is the what have we called this? The mud line?
Yeah. Oh man, what if they did what they just repeated it with Ocean Spray or Ospreay and have Ospreay have him win it at next year's All In. Have him on a whole year redemption arc, Micah.
Yeah, I'm not letting you anywhere near the booking table, man.
Come on.
Not at 4 a.m. Not with the AEW guys.
Come on, Scoop. Let me cook. Let me cook.
I don't know. Well, we'll keep you in Stanford.
All right.
Well, Ryan, I won't really do Saturday night's main event because I can't necessarily count it as a PLE or pay-per-view. But out of 10, what would you give AEW Double or Nothing?
I give it like a 2.
A
Maybe
2?
3. Yeah, maybe a 3. 3 out of 10. Think I went a little too high?
No,
I mean, I gave the last one a dud. You want me to give her a dud? It's better than that one.
No. You gave
better.
Revolution a dud.
Yeah. What was the last one before this?
Dynasty, which you also gave a dud.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well, okay, let me run down the card one more time. You had Monet and Hayter, which I thought was pretty solid.
Okay.
You had Daniel Garcia and Nigel versus FTR. Not egregious, not the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
It did go on too long. Ricochet versus Mark Briscoe.
Comedy.
It was still good. I think it was one of the top 3 matches on the card.
Yeah, bro. If you like Colt Cabana matches, this was your jam, right?
No,
saying,
this is different.
I mean, you like the haha. This match was for you.
All right, Hurt Syndicate versus Dustin and Sammy.
It was there.
Okada versus Speedball.
I like the finish.
We didn't watch Tony and Mina, so Anarchy in the Arena.
HLA.
Oh, you like that? That rhymed.
HLA before that.
And I know you didn't like Anarchy in the Arena, and we just talked about Will Ospreay versus Hangman.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you just laid it out like that, I think, yeah, maybe a 1, 1.5. I appreciate you laying it out. I was feeling, maybe I was a little too generous, yeah.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Wow. Now, you didn't watch this live, right?
I did not watch this live.
Okay. So you had the courtesy of getting up out of your chair, going to do other stuff, coming back a couple hours later, a day later.
No, I did. The only thing I did not watch this at the same time was the Ospreay Hangman match. The rest of it I watched like consecutively.
Okay, but Micah, what time do you usually go to bed every night? Around this time.
Around this time, yeah. About 4 a.m.
So imagine a pay-per-view coming on at 4 o'clock in the morning. And and it just goes on till 9 o'clock. And you haven't been to bed yet. Would that lose some points for you? Because that's what I was doing watching this pay-per-view live.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
I do. Ultimately, I feel like this is the best pay-per-view of the year. I don't think that's a ridiculous.
Over Backlash?
Oh yeah,
Backlash over this. Come on now.
There was nothing on Backlash.
We had Gunther and Pat.
That was good.
Cena and Orton.
That was not good.
Okay. I'm trying to remember what else happened on Backlash.
See?
Oh no, the 4-way. Yeah, the 4-way match. Lyra and Becky.
That one was okay.
Which one?
They were both okay, but I was mainly talking about the Lyra Becky one.
Bro, I'll take a 2.5 okay show over a 5.5 doing too much show, which this was. I'll take that any day of the week.
I still feel like I think that one of the reasons that this is the best pay-per-view of the year up to this point is because every other pay-per-view that we've had outside of Elimination Chamber, I've had the same feeling of this stinks. Like I've just like either Moxley beat somebody that he shouldn't have, or Cena's going over in a lackluster match. The only other pay-per-view this year that had a good ending was Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania Night 1. But Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania Night 1 had stinky undercards.
I like WrestleMania Night 1. Thought it was okay.
Well, what would you say is your favorite match from Double or Nothing 2025?
Oh man, it's gotta be the Paragon versus Don Callis family.
Oh, come on.
I don't know, man. What was the first match again? Oh no,
Monet and Hater?
never mind.
Did you say never mind?
Yeah, never mind. I'll go Anarchy.
That was your favorite match?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It wasn't as egregious as the other Anarchy matches. Like you didn't see a flame.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it just did something for me when the Buckaroos came out as Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. Just did something. It restored that feeling. Like,
Oh, God. I don't ever want to hear that again from them. My favorite match, not going to lie, Mark Briscoe and Ricochet.
oh man, haha match, the funnies. Funny don't
Oh,
drop
come
money.
on. It's different if Mark does it.
Oh, okay. Well, we had the other Mark in this match, Ricochet. So yeah, man, this that was there. It was there.
I know you're not a big AEW fan, but to finish this off,
Yeah, take us home, Scoop.
is it crazy for me to say that AEW feels a little bit more interesting than WWE right now?
What stories are you locked in on?
Well, obviously the Hurt Syndicate.
Okay.
I am interested to see the Monet Tony Storm feud solely from
What?
how are they going to make this work?
Okay, so it's like a car wreck. You want to see what it looks like. You just don't.
No, not to that extent. I just want to see. I will tune in tomorrow to see what they do with that feud because Tony is at least better than most on the mic, and Mercedes has flashes.
Okay, you're being generous here.
You wouldn't say that Tony is better than most of the women that they have on the mic.
If we take away the crutch of her just using the sexual innuendos, I don't know. I don't know what she can do on the mic, bro. I just don't know. Like, I mean, anybody can be Joel Gertner. I can just spew out sexual, or anybody can be Val Venus on the mic and just spew out sexual innuendos, get a reaction from the crowd, bro. It's cheap. It's a cheap pop. It's like going out there in somebody's hometown and saying, "Hey, great to be back here," and insert hometown here. You're gonna get a pop every time. And of course, to that fan base, the fan base has never touched a woman. When another woman brings up anything sexual related, Micah, they pop for it. So I don't know if she's good on the mic. I don't know. And Mercedes has never been good. Let's not kid ourselves. She sounds like she has peanut butter on the roof of her mouth. It's not good. And she's been booked like the Terminator since she's been here. So I don't. And they have 7 weeks to book this, bro. It's gonna be a train wreck, and the fact that that's the story you're looking forward to in AEW the most, I don't know if that's
I didn't say the most.
Well, you put it in the top 3.
I was just mentioning it. I was going down the list in my mind.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. Okay. All right.
I don't know, man. I feel like WWE is in such a holding pattern right now. On top of the like you were talking about earlier in the show, the geography segments or the constant ads. Like I think that AEW just has a little bit more, or at least to me, they're pulling a little bit more intrigue than they have in a while.
I don't know if it's intrigue necessarily. I think the AEW is doing way too much. They give us way too much, and WWE doesn't give us enough. Like we just need a good middle ground here. Like if we had a good third company, bro, that just did the middle of all this, like a TNA. If TNA had if they were on national TV, I think we would probably be reviewing TNA on the show, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but it's funny you say that. That is the exact same thing I told Hannah earlier. I said, it is very much 100%. WWE takes way too long. They do too little, and AEW does way too much.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm more interested to see the too much because I'm getting sick of the too little.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So, if you want to see what happens, ladies and gentlemen, join us next week. We will be back. I know this was a long episode, but when you got two basically pay-per-views and a total of 7 hours of wrestling in one whole weekend, it takes a little bit to get through. So,
can you imagine what the Evolution and the Saturday Night's Main Event and All In Texas, what that's gonna do to our schedule? Are we gonna make that one?
we may not live that long. I may not live to that weekend, man.
It's in Atlanta.
We're flying too close to the sun with that many events. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow us. All of our socials will be in the link of this episode. And as always, make sure you're checking out our content mainly on TikTok. We've been really funneling stuff there. Tell your friends about us. Tell your family about us. Hope you had a good holiday weekend on Memorial Day. Thank you for your service out there to all the veterans. Have a good one.